Grow your own pharmacy right there in your back garden from 15 healing herbs you can plant with your own 2 hands. And I will tell you something that might just change the way you look at that patch of ground outside your window. Nearly every remedy you have ever paid good money for at the chemist started its life as a plant, and most of them will grow happily for you at no cost at all. Think about that for a moment. The people who came before us, your grandmother and hers before her, did not have a pharmacy on the corner. They had the garden, the hedgerow, and the field, and they were not helpless. They knew which leaf to reach for when a child had a fever, which flower calmed a troubled sleep, which root cleaned the blood in springtime. That knowledge was ordinary once. It was passed down at the kitchen table like a recipe. And somewhere along the way, we were taught to forget it, to run to a bottle with a long name on it instead. Well, I say it is time you took a little of that wisdom back. Stay with me to the very end, because I am going to give you the exact bedtime tea I drink every single night, a simple blend that gives me the most restful sleep I have known in all my years. It costs pennies, and you can grow every leaf of it yourself, but that is for later. First, we have 14 good friends to meet before it. My name is Malcolm Ashby, and for 50 years now I have been growing things and gathering things, learning the old names and the old uses from anyone patient enough to teach an eager young man. What I know, I am glad to share with you. Let me say one thing and then I will not bring it up again. Every plant, I know its look-alike and what it is worth in dollars, I have put into one book. On page 31, there is a weed that grows in most backyards that people spray on site and that replaces the $5 tea they have been buying for years. It is at thebackyardgoldmine.com and the link is under this video. If you want it, it is there. That is all. Right then, let us get into it. Number 1. Calendula. You may know her better as the common marigold, that cheerful orange face that nods in cottage gardens all summer long. The old folk called her the poor man's saffron, for a pinch of those petals would colour a pot of rice or soup when the real spice cost more than a working family could dream of. But her true gift is to the skin. Calendula is one of the gentlest healers there is, kind to sore places, to eczema, to little cuts and grazes and chapped hands. The simplest way to use her is to dry the flower heads on a windowsill, then pack them into a clean jar and cover them with good olive oil. Leave that jar in a sunny window for a few weeks, strain it, and you have a golden infused oil that makes a nourishing moisturizer for the driest, weariest skin. Anti-inflammatory and antiseptic both, calendula soothes a rash, a burn, a slow-to-heal wound. And do not stop at the skin, for a cup of calendula tea, taken as an infusion, is a gentle friend to a troubled stomach, easing the burn of an ulcer or an inflamed gut. One flower and your medicine cabinet is richer for it. Number 2. Echinacea, a tall, handsome purple daisy that stands proud at the back of the border. This one came to us from the native peoples of the Americas who reached for it first, long before any of us knew its name. They used the root for snakebite and for wounds that would not heal, and they trusted it deeply. Today we know Echinacea as a great friend to the body's own defenses. When the season turns and everyone around you is sniffling, a little Echinacea helps you stand firm. You can dig and dry the root in autumn, or take the flowers and leaves and steep them into a tea, or make a tincture in a spot of vodka to keep through the long winter. Plant it once and it will come back to you year after year, faithful as an old dog. Number 3. Elder. Now here is a plant so generous it gives you 2 medicines in 1 year. In the late spring, the elder is heavy with flat, creamy heads of elderflower, sweet and heady on a warm evening. Gather those and you have a lovely tea that helps the body when a cold or a fever first comes creeping. Then in the autumn, those same flowers become dark purple elderberries hanging in heavy bunches, and those berries are one of the finest things you can take against the viruses of winter. Our grandmothers made elderberry syrup by simmering the berries with a little honey and kept a bottle by the stove to spoon out at the first sneeze. Only remember to cook the berries first, never raw. Plant one elder in a quiet corner and it will feed you and physic you both. Number 4. Southernwood. A strange and lovely old thing, this one, with feathery grey-green leaves that smell, I promise you, exactly of cola when you rub them between your fingers. The country people had the sweetest name for it. They called it lad's love, for a sprig was tucked into a young man's buttonhole when he went courting. But it earned its keep too. Southernwood was a bitter digestive tonic taken to settle the stomach and in harder times to worm the children. And hung in a wardrobe or laid among the linens, it kept the moths and the biting insects well away. Take a cutting, for it roots easily, dry a few sprigs, and let that curious cola scent do its gentle work. Number 5. Lemon balm. If you grow nothing else from this whole list, grow a little lemon balm, for it asks almost nothing and gives so much. Brush past it and the air fills with the brightest scent of lemon, and that scent alone will lift a heavy heart. This is a calming herb, one of the great settlers of a restless mind, and it has a quiet antiviral strength as well, good against cold sores and the little troubles of the season. But most of all, it is a herb of peace and of sleep. Pick a good handful of fresh leaves, pour hot water over them, cover the cup so none of that goodness escapes, and drink it of an evening when the day has been too long. The old monks grew it close by their beehives, for the bees adore it, and its very name, Melissa, is the old Greek word for a honeybee. It grows like a weed, so give it room. Number 6. Lavender. Now, who does not know lavender, that purple haze humming with bees on a July afternoon? But we have forgotten how much more she is than a pretty scent. Lavender is one of the surest calmers in the whole garden. A cup of lavender tea eases a tight, aching head, and the smell of her alone slows a racing mind and readies you for rest. My own grandmother sewed the dried flowers into little cloth pouches and tucked one beneath every pillow in the house, and I have never slept better than I did under her roof. You can do the very same. Cut the flower stalks just as they open, hang them upside down in a dry place, and when they are crisp, strip the buds into a pouch. It is a friend to the skin as well, a dab of it dabbed on an insect bite or a small burn to take the heat and the itch away. Simple, old, and it works. Number 7. Chamomile. The little daisy with the apple scent, the herb of the nursery and the sick room for hundreds of years. When you were small and could not sleep, or your tummy ached, someone likely gave you chamomile, whether you remember it or not. It is the gentlest of the calming herbs, safe and soft, and it soothes both a fretful mind and a grumbling stomach at once. This is the great herb of bedtime, and it will be the heart of that sleepy tea I promised you. Grow the flowers, and on a dry day, pick the little white and gold heads and dry them slowly. A spoonful in a cup at night, and the world grows quiet and kind. It is a fine anti-inflammatory besides, easing a windy, griping gut, and the cool tea makes a soothing wash for sore and tired eyes. Keep chamomile in your mind, for we shall come back to her before we are done. Number 8. Feverfew. A cheerful bunch of small white daisies with a sharp, bitter scent, and do not be fooled by how ordinary it looks, for this is one of the great old remedies for the pounding head. Feverfew has been the friend of the migraine sufferer for centuries. Those who are plagued by them would eat a leaf or two each day, folded into a little bread to soften the bitterness, and many swore it kept the worst of the headaches from ever taking hold. It seeds itself about the garden happily once you have it. Grow it, dry the leaves for tea, or nibble a fresh leaf if you are brave, and you may find an old answer to a very modern misery. Number 9. Mullein. Now this is a plant of real character, a tall spire of soft, woolly grey leaves that shoots up a stalk of yellow flowers taller than a man. The country folk called it the candlewick plant, for they would dip the dried stalks in fat and burn them like torches. But mullein's true gift is to the chest and the lungs. When a cough sits deep and rattling and will not shift, mullein is the herb that eases it and helps you breathe more freely. You dry the big soft leaves and the flowers, then steep them for a tea, but do strain it carefully through a cloth, for those fine hairs can tickle the throat. For anyone whose breathing has grown harder with the years, this old giant is a comfort worth growing. Now, before we go on, let me remind you of where we are heading. At the very end of this, I am going to hand you the recipe for my own bedtime sleepy tea, the one that has given me more restful nights than any pill ever did. Chamomile is in it, and a few of the other friends we are meeting. So do stay with me. And one plain word of sense before we carry on. If you are on any medication or you are unwell, do have a word with your doctor or a proper herbalist before you take up a new herb, for even the gentlest plant deserves respect. And do bear in mind, so many of the plain herbs already sitting in your kitchen cupboard, your thyme, your cayenne, your coriander seed, are quiet medicines too, if only you use them with a little knowledge and the right measure. Number 10, dandelion. And here I want you to change your mind about something. You have spent your whole life being told the dandelion is a weed, a nuisance to be dug out and poisoned from the lawn. But that bright yellow face is one of the most useful medicines that ever grew, and it grows for free at your very feet. The whole plant serves you. The leaves are a gentle cleanser for the body's waters. The root is one of the finest tonics there is for the liver, helping it do its quiet work of keeping you clean within. Dig the root in autumn, dry it, roast it a little, and it makes a rich drink much like coffee. The young leaves, picked small, make a fine bitter salad in the spring, and there is more iron in them than in a plate of shop-bought spinach. We call it a weed. Our ancestors called it a blessing. I know which of them was wiser. Number 11, passion flower. A climbing vine, with a bloom so strange and beautiful, it looks as though it came from another world, all fringes and rings of purple and white. Do not let its exotic look put you off, for it will grow up a sunny fence with a little care. This is a herb for the mind that will not stop turning, for the worry that keeps you staring at the ceiling long past midnight. Passion flower quietens that circling thought and lets sleep come at last. Gather the leaves and flowering vine, dry them well, and keep them for a bedtime tea when the cares of the day refuse to loosen their grip. In a restless age, this is a gentle and welcome old friend. Number 12, sage. Straight from your kitchen windowsill, the same grey-green leaf you tuck into the Sunday roast, and yet it is far more than a flavour. The very name comes from the old word for saving and for health, and our forebears held it in such regard, they said a garden with sage in it need never fear for its household. Sage is the great friend of the sore throat. A strong cup of sage tea, cooled a little and used as a gargle, soothes a throat that is raw and rough as few things can. It settles the digestion after a heavy meal as well. Snip the leaves, dry them easily, and keep a jar by the stove. Medicine and dinner from the very same little bush. Number 13, peppermint. There is hardly a soul alive who does not know that clean, sharp smell, and there is good reason it has stayed with us so long. Peppermint is the great settler of the stomach. When you have eaten a little too well, as we all do from time to time, a cup of peppermint tea eases the fullness and the discomfort and sets you right again. It clears a stuffy head too and lifts a tired spirit. Now I will warn you, peppermint is a wanderer, and its roots will march right across your garden if you let them, so keep it in a pot of its own. Pick the leaves before it flowers, dry them in the shade to hold their oils, and you will never be without a fine after-dinner cup. Number 14, rosemary. That woody, fragrant bush by the kitchen door, the one whose scent follows you when you brush against it on the path. Rosemary has always been the herb of remembrance. There is an old truth in that, for rosemary quickens the circulation and sends good bright blood up to the head, and there is real sense in the old belief that it sharpens the memory and clears a foggy mind. For those of us in our later years who wish to keep our wits keen, that is no small thing. A cup of rosemary tea in the morning wakes you gently, and a sprig in your bath eases stiff and aching limbs. Take a cutting, for it lives for many years, and let this faithful old bush watch over your door and your mind alike. And now, number 15, the one I have saved for last because it is my own favourite herb in all the world, yarrow. The old soldiers called it woundwort and staunchweed, and the whole story lives in its oldest name of all, for they say the great warrior Achilles carried it onto the battlefield to pack into the wounds of his men and stop their bleeding. In the old folklore, they hung yarrow in the house to ward off evil and ill fortune, and a young woman would lay a sprig beneath her pillow to dream of the one she was to marry. Thousands of years, that plant has walked beside us into our worst moments. Yarrow, with its flat white flower heads and its soft feathery leaves, is the great healer of cuts and wounds. Crush a fresh leaf and press it to a bleeding graze, and you will see it slow before your eyes. Dried, it makes a tea that helps a fever break by bringing on a gentle sweat. If I could plant only one herb, it would be this one, the soldier's woundwort, faithful through the ages. Grow it, dry it, and honor it. And so we come to it at last, the little recipe I promised you, my own bedtime sleepy tea. Here is all it is. Take 1 part chamomile, the heart of it, and to that add half a part each of lavender and lemon balm, and then just a little rose and a little mint for sweetness and lift. Mix your dried herbs together and keep them in a jar. Of an evening, a couple of hours before your head touches the pillow, spoon a good pinch into a cup, pour over hot water, cover it, and let it steep a full 10 minutes so nothing is lost. Drink it slow. That is the tea I take every night, and it has given me the most restful sleep of my long life. Grown by your own hand, it will cost you next to nothing at all. And do make up a big jar of it while you're at it, enough to last you the winter, for it keeps beautifully in the dark, and it makes the loveliest gift for a friend who sleeps poorly, with a little note tucked in to say what each herb is for. Now, I would love to hear from you, so do 2 things for me in the comments below. Tell me which of these 15 herbs you already grow in your own garden, and then tell me which one you are going to plant first now that you know what it can do. I read them, and it does my old heart good to see what you are growing. Thank you truly for spending this time with me today. It is a joy to pass along the old ways to folk who care enough to listen. And if you would like every plant I know, its lookalikes and what each one is worth, gathered in one place, that book of mine is waiting for you at thebackyardgoldmine.com, with the link down below. And before you go, let me leave you with a little something for next time. Next time, I am going to share 15 of the most powerful medicines ever written down, hidden in plain sight in the oldest book in the world, including a resin once carried across the desert to a newborn king and worth more than its own weight in gold. Until then, my friend, keep growing, keep gathering, and take good care of yourself.